welcome to Fiber Trek. My name is Sarah. I am coming to you from southern Maine at the moment. I had had high hopes, that was a lot, to podcast while I was up north at my home in T3 Indian Purchase, but with the way the retreat unfolded and some of my other obligations, I wasn't really able to record. And so I decided to take advantage of my day off and record at my parents'. The light at my parents' is really rugged. To find a really kind of fun place to podcast, I had hoped to go outside, but it's pouring much needed rain. So I'm sitting in their living room. Hopefully the light will stick with us for most of this episode. Let's see. As always, I have my show notes right here. Welcome. You are most welcome here. I'm so happy that you've decided to invest some time into the podcast, even if this is your first time joining us or you've been with me from the beginning. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of the feedback, comments. I know that I don't always get to answer them in a timely fashion, but I do read everything, and I do like to keep up with what's happening in the Ravelry group on Instagram. Those are my two most kind of visited social media platforms. So thank you so much for reaching out and for contributing. I have in the past included an introduction section here, and I realized that it's gotten away from me a little bit. So I just want to welcome everybody and thank you for introducing yourself on the introduction thread in the Ravelry group. So thank you so much, and it's great to see all the talent joining us and the geographic breadth that is represented in the Fiber Trek group. So thank you. So on this edition, I have Works in Progress, which is so meager. I'm hoping other things will round it out. I have some spinning. I have Acquisitions and Discoveries, which will include Rybeck and the Highlands on the Fly retreat, both of which I just attended. I have Shackleton, Fleece-wise, and I wanted to talk to you all a little bit about a book that I was given and give you some ideas for knitting. So let's go right to Works in Progress, shall we? I'm juggling a lot of things here. So let's see. I'm still working on Love and Lemons by Melanie Berg. I'm doing this out of Quince & Company Piper, which is a merino. I think it's all Texas, but I know the mohair is from Reno. But it's a merino mohair blend, 50-50 lace weight, and I have not made any progress on it whatsoever. So I'd love to get this back in my hands, but I've been wanting to finish another project, and I've been doing some sewing. If you're interested in my sewing, I have a sewing blog called Clementine Made Me Do It. I post on this channel under that title, and I also have a YouTube channel called Clementine Made Me Do It, which I need to actually go upload my latest vlog to. Anyway, so I've been sewing and traveling, and which has left little time for multiple project rotation. But Love and Lemons, Melanie Berg, out of Quince & Company Piper. Quince & Company is a Maine company, and yeah, I really like that yarn. I like the drape on it. What else? Oh, Siri by Linnea Ullman. I'm loving this project. I have been working on it for a little while. The yarn is a kind of mill spun. Of course it's mill spun. Well, I guess it could be hand spun. But it's from Hampton Fiber Mill. And it is 2 fleeces from the 2015 Flat Island clip. And this is the yoke. It's a cardigan. And I am just about to finish, it's knit top down, and I am just about to wrap up the edging at the bottom. So then it's just picking up for the sleeves and then the neck bands. So I have a picture of it. It's in my Matterroot linen sheep bag. I'm kind of a collector of these now. I love them. So I have her maker's bag, which has like scissors and a crochet hook, and they're really beautiful, and I love the fabric. So I don't know if this is going to be helpful for you, but that is the cardigan. So that's primarily what I've been working on. And my car battery has been dead. So I commute with my mom to work when I can. We both work in the same school district, and but our schedules don't always align. So, but this week I've had to make that work. So I've been able to knit on the way to and from work, which has been great. All right. For those of you that are interested, this yarn is a 2-ply, and I know that we have been talking about sweater yarn and yarns to knit sweaters out of, whether that's breed specific or a type of spinning. So we will get back to that topic hopefully soon. My goal here is to kind of keep these podcasts on the shorter side, and I'd like to talk a little bit about Shackleton today. So we'll pick up our sweater discussion perhaps in the next episode. So that's it for knitting. I know. I have been spinning. I didn't bring the bobbin over with me, but I've been working on these bats from Rybeck Farm. I bought these at the Highlands on the Fly retreat last year. This is this is her neighbor's sheep Persia, and I just fell in love with this color gray. It's kind of a gray brown, I just love it. So anyway, these bats are just stunning and such a joy to spin. And I literally, all I've been doing is unwrapping the bat. It's almost like spinning top. I mean, it's just, the prep is so beautiful, and all the fibers are really aligned. And then I'm tearing off pieces and spinning that. And I am spinning this as a 2-ply, and I'm hoping for around a double knitting weight, a DK weight. And I am planning to knit Annie Rowden's Isle of Purebeck shawl, which is a DK and was knit with the yarn of the same name. So that's the spinning. And actually, I think I'm going to work on some of that today. I had this hankering today. It's so rainy and blustery and gray, of just curling up on the couch and watching all 3 Lord of the Rings. But I tempered myself in order to get some other tasks done. So the podcast and some other pieces for Fleecewise and some sewing and etc. So, and then tomorrow I think it's supposed to be very similar weather. So maybe I'll pull that. I'll make my dreams come true tomorrow and watch all 3. Let's see. All right. So that's really it for things that have been happening in the making world, if you're not watching the sewing vlog. Right. Well, I'm going to segue into acquisitions and discoveries, which I'm kind of using as a title for my time in Rybeck and Highlands on the Fly. I did a lot of discovering, and I did some acquisitioning. I had the opportunity to travel to Rybeck, New York Sheep and Wool Festival with my friend Janie Estelle of Starcroft and Mary Jane Mucklestone. We left the state of Maine a little bit with a bit of melancholy in our hearts. I think it's hard for us to to cross the border, but we kind of boosted our spirits by stopping for some fun fish and chips at Bob's Clam Shack I think they're in Kittery, and I'd never been there before. We crossed over the bridge and got onto the Massachusetts Turnpike after a short stint in New Hampshire, and yeah, wow, I have not been out of the state for a very long time. As far as driving out of the state, probably flown out of the state. I will say most of the time my husband and I travel, or when I do travel, it's typically north to Canada. So we're usually not hitting any traffic whatsoever, or we're flying out. And I can't remember the last time I think I flew, though. I think it was 6 years ago. So I think all my vacations up to that point have been to Canada. Anyway, I did not enjoy the traffic on the Massachusetts Turnpike, but we made it through. We were provisioned well, pirate's booty and chocolate. And I got to join Mary Lou Egan, Gail Zucker, Beverly Army Williams at this gorgeous Airbnb rental that Mary Lou found. And it was a real treat to stay in this kind of just very funky kind of farmhouse. And we had a great view, a secluded spot, and just a lot of great space to spread out and cook and have dinner and knit. So thank you so much for including me in that great rental. As part of that experience, though, I got to get a copy of Drop Dead Easy Knits. This was written by Gail Zucker, Mary Lou Egan, and Kirsten Kapoor. I got to have it signed at Rybeck. I was very excited about that. So I had seen this book prior to my time at Rybeck. I had some got to see Gail in September, and she had brought an advance copy. And I knew immediately that I wanted to put this book into my collection. And the authors were generous enough to send me a copy to share with you. And I don't typically buy books. I buy reference books more than I buy pattern books these days. And I was really excited to cast on a number of patterns from Drop Dead Easy Knits. But let me share with you quickly what the editors have to say and the authors have to say about the book, and then I'll show you my patterns that I'm planning to knit. So one thing that was really fun about the book, before I share with you kind of the the write-up, I loved the character of the book. The writing is fun, it's whimsical, it's clever. It's worth reading the descriptions and the introduction. I like the style. It's just very friendly. And so I would, if you pick the book up, I would encourage you to read what they have to say for each of their patterns, and as well as the impetus for the book. So I got a good kick out of it, and I'll share one of them with you. So this is a collection of 30 patterns, blankets, simple sweaters, and wraps. And it's designed so you don't have to puzzle over a pattern and can easily pick up your needles anytime. Drop dead easy. Whether you're binge watching Netflix, waiting for your plane to board, or having a wine and knitting night with friends. For key moments, such as joining an arm to a sweater or casting on additional rows, patterns are coded with concentration zones. And cruise control are segments for when you need to be in a mindful state or when you can let the knitting take a back seat. Beautifully depicted through Gail's charming 4-color photography, these patterns appeal to a wide range of crafters, from rookies looking to start fresh to advanced knitters looking for easier projects to work on in their spare time. I would definitely agree with all the descriptions there. The diversity of patterns in here was very appealing to me. It's not all accessories. There's a number of garments, and as a garment knitter, finding more than one sweater in a book that I want to knit doesn't happen very often. But let me share with you a few of those sweaters that I'm planning to cast on. So the first one is Keynote by Mary Lou Egan. This is knit from the bottom up, and the sleeves are joined into the yoke. I love the texture at the yoke. I have a 2-ply Coopworth, which I think will be perfect for this, from Maine Yarn and Fiber Supply, and I plan to knit its sister, which is the Parlay cardigan by Mary Lou Egan, which is the cardiganized version of, and I think I'm going to do this out of my Cornish tin. So you can't really see the texture here, but I think that's part of the glare. The cardiganized version is described as attentive, and the Keynote, the pullover version, is described as relaxed. So just really helpful information as you're navigating through. My other design that I plan to knit is, kind of immediately, is the Lucy and Ethel shawl by Kirsten Kapoor. Lucy and Ethel cowl, sorry. I have a cowl, the Rivington by Kirsten, that I wear everywhere. It's like my security blanket. It's been all over the lakes and rivers in this state. It's been to Katahdin in the winter. It's been through the park in the winter. It's been to Alaska. I mean, it goes everywhere with me. And I'm looking forward to adding this one to my collection. It has a little bit similar stitch pattern that I love, and the Rivington cowl I knit, I did out of a Coopworth from Ruitt Farm, which is beautiful gray, of course, and then an indigo over-dyed gray, and just a really smashing color combination, and it goes with everything. So that will head on, and I'm also going to knit another garment, which is the Pompano Tank by Kirsten Kapoor. I plan to make this a little bit longer than what's expressed in the pattern. It's also knit out of a 100% linen, and I plan to do it out of Starcroft Fog, which is a 90% lamb's wool, 10% Angora, or 95% 5%, and make it a little bit longer. See, there's a little bit of a lace detail here at the bottom, and I'm just going to drop that down, maybe by an inch or two. But I thought that would be a really nice layering piece, and even putting a sweater over that for Maine winters and cool summer evenings, or, you know. So let's see. But again, there's a lot of just fun, whimsical things to do in the book. Susan B. Anderson is represented here with her fun toys and innovative, creative designs. And as I said before, there's baby knits, blankets. There is a blanket in here. I mean, everybody's represented, right? But I really liked, I can hear my dog snoring over there. I loved this Star-Eyed Julep Throw. This was contributed by Kay Gardner and Ann Shane of Mason-Dixon Knitting. And I like the look of this, and I'm thinking about using some of my scraps and doing a blanket with kind of my Soulful Stash blanket. So again, I mean, I could go through all of these because I think they all have something to add to any knitting repertoire and wardrobe. I think they're, I think they're fun and different and can stash bust. There's anything from kind of sport to bulky, so you can do a lot with the book. That's a Kirsten Kapoor design. So anyway, I can't wait to cast on. One thing I wanted to note is in the back of the book are alternate yarn suggestions by pattern. I thought that was really helpful. So if you find yourself wanting to work in something different, or you don't have access to something in the book, I love that they provided a list of yarns that could be substituted. I think that that's something that I've heard people have a difficult time doing, is figuring out, well, I want to knit with this, Shetland Spindrift, but I only have this. Can I get what I need? How much should I get, etc.? How do I substitute different yarns? And they've got lots of really fun yarns represented here that you could kind of branch out and explore a little bit, knowing that it would be a nice substitution. I think that happens quite a bit for me because I work with such place-based yarns, and that they're kind of they're different than what is commercially spun, and so figuring out how to pull that in and apply it to patterns and designers can be a little bit challenging sometimes. So I definitely appreciated that caveat there at the end for people. So thank you so much, Gail, Mary Lou, and Kirsten. As always, it was a treat to visit, but it was a super duper treat to get my book signed at the festival. So that was really my first acquisition, was getting those signatures done. I got to go to the podcaster meetup. I went to the Leaping Llamas. I had a number of people pull me aside and offer such sincere thanks for the podcast. It was really flattering, and I was kind of flabbergasted and speechless. So thank you so much for pointing that out, stopping me, making a point to stop me and share your experience. Podcaster meetup was a little overwhelming, but I did make it there, and I got to visit with some people I had kind of known through Instagram or other podcasts, so that was really good fun. I'll talk a little bit about Fleecewise a little bit later. And I, of course, broke through the gates with Janny, and I was like, we've got to get to the Herdwick booth. Like, right? Because, oh my God, there's going to be a line. If you don't know the story of my Maryland sheep and wool experience, I got there early. I broke through the gates. I was like meeting up with Sarah Pomegranate. I was like, you got to meet me at the Finger Lakes Woolen Mill. We got to get the Hog Island. And I was super worried that there wouldn't be any left. So I'm like running through Maryland, and I get to the booth, and there's like nobody there, and just this very gentle man, very gentlemanly, standing at the cashier, and I'm like out of breath and frazzled and sweaty, and I was like, do you have any Hog Island left? And there's like, of course there's tons. So kind of a similar experience at Rybeck. I knew I wanted to get to the Helder Herdwick farm, and so I made my way there, and I wasn't the only person in the booth, but there weren't a lot of people in the booth, so I was pleased about that. This is a farm, and I had asked the lady if I could grab an interview, but we weren't able to connect over it. But I'm hoping I can make something happen, maybe on Skype, or I don't know, I'd love to make that happen. So anyway, she's working on a genetics improvement program here in the United States for the Herdwick sheep, which is a conservation critical breed. It originates in Britain, and it is a very place-based animal, similar to North Ronaldsay. And I've talked about Herdwick before. I did some spinning of fiber that a friend brought over for me last year, and so I was very interested to see what was happening here in the United States. I don't really have the vocabulary or the language to explain to you what this farm is doing. I just know that I believe they have an animal that is 85%, classified as 85% genetically Herdwick. But you can see in the fiber I'm about to show you, there's a number of Herdwick qualities. There's lots of kemp and hair, which is kind of indicative of our friends. And I talked a lot about kemp when I was spinning this. And boy, I love kemp. I'm like, nothing connects me more to the ancient and world than kemp, right? Our primitive friends and primitive breed friends that kind of brought us to where we are. So I picked up, this is the Helder Herdwick farm from our flock, registered Herdwick sheep, 3-ply, Herdwick cross wool, 4 ounces, 65 yards, 54.8 meters and 113 grams. So I picked this up, and I'm thinking that my husband is really interested in getting our rigid huddle loom kind of on the go. So I picked up this kind of over-dyed lavender, and then this really fun green. I don't think it's as sprucey as it's showing up there, but. And then I got a base of gray, and I think I got 4 or 5 of the gray, and then the 2. I got everything she had in color, and then almost what she had in the gray. At least at that moment in time. So I was super excited. I went to see the sheep. They did bring their sheep with them. I started crying. Poor Janny. I was so overcome with this great conservation work, and yeah, it was just very moving for me. And I got to talk to the owner. I didn't get to talk to her husband, but anyway, I got some insight into it, and but again, I don't feel like I can do it justice. So I picked that up, I also happened to find some treasures. The booth next to them, I had scouted out on the vendor list. This is Grace Cunning. She makes these copper boxes, and they have kind of these inlays. I got this one with the black feather, and there's like a little gem at the top. She had lots of different types, and then I went back because I saw this and I was like, wasn't gonna get it, and then I kept thinking about it, and I went back and I got the bees. I'm keeping all my Samia materials in here. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm kind of addicted to these boxes. I kept bringing all my friends back. So, yeah, you can find her on the internet. I think it's Grace Cunning. Not Cunning, Gunning with a G. Grace Gunning. Right. The only other thing I got a few things from my niece and nephew, but they were more like hand-carved wooden things, is I picked up some fabric. This woman does batiks. It's Carol Law Conklin, Amity Farm Batik, and she's in Fort Anne, New York. And amityfarmbatik.etsy.com. I will try to do show notes, so if you want to find this stuff, you can. This is Unicorn in Woods with Fox and Bird, and this is 10 by 36, and it's custom printed fabric on cotton from an original batik. And I just couldn't help myself. I don't know what it was. Unicorns, foxes. My plan is, thanks to my genius sewing friend, Janny, is I think I'm going to use this as a border in a dress. So maybe the Anne Carolyn smock, or, you know, just cut out a piece and put this at the bottom. How much fun is that? And so, because I couldn't stop there on my kind of, you know, magical fabric journey, this is the Ent Forest. I was channeling my inner Tolkien here. Inspired by Lord of the Rings, the Ent Tree Forest, and it's 10 by 36. So again, using that in the same way. And then I picked up, for fun, two of these. These are whatever size, but I thought these would be fun pockets, right? On an apron or on the outside of a Anne Carolyn ship dress or something. So anyway, I picked these up. So I had a really good time in that booth. I think that was it for Rybeck. It was an interesting experience. I walked away very affirmed that Maine has such a rich fiber community that, you know, I really can get some very awesome and thoughtful yarns here in this state. So I didn't necessarily feel the need to be purchasing yarn and fiber. While I was there, I got some specialty things, but I definitely wanted to take more time to visit with people and see the sheep and enjoy the day, etc. So I kind of let go of the shopping and focused more on you know, my friends and of course Fleecewise. So I'm not 100% sure if I will return to Rybeck, but it was definitely worth going, and it was an amazing experience, and it was great to see all of these people coming together around sheep and wool and fiber and camelids. So yeah, so it was definitely a memorable fiber trek. Right. The other piece of that was we left Rybeck and we went to Jill Draper's studio, and we got there and I got to meet Jill, which was wonderful, and buy right direct from her. I picked up, this is Rockwell in the brownstone colorway, Cormo Merino crossbred wool, and 280 yards, 113 grams or 4 ounces. And then I picked up, this is Valkill, which is New York Cheviot wool, and it's chlorella, and 252 yards, 4 ounces, 113 grams. I'm planning to knit the Perrin's Britch, which was just released in Jill's book, and yeah, so I picked up the yarn to do that, but it was crazy in there, and so I was happy to get this, and yeah, so that was good fun. Something neat and different I can't get my hands on typically. Well, let's see. Yeah, I think that's really it for Rybeck for me. I'm going to talk a little bit about connecting with Sarah, Emily, and Claire in Fleecewise, so you can hear a little bit more about our time together there. Right, just keeping an eye on my time. I'm like at 22 minutes. Right, so last weekend was Highlands on the Fly, which is a retreat I coordinate and run in the North Woods up by Baxter Park. We have a very committed and loyal group of people that come. We have people that, we have new people that come. So it's been a really amazing 4 years. And this year, this is our 4th year, was just the same. It was a really good time, really good food, amazing vendors, gorgeous knitwear, lots of laughing. And I'm looking forward to our 5th year. We welcomed Mary Jane Mucklestone this year as our keynote, and we were so inspired that Mama to 8, who is Elisa, who had come from Pennsylvania, she has coordinated a Fair Isle knit-along in the Highlands on the Fly group on Ravelry. So we'll be doing a year-long knit-along for Fair Isle and color work, stranded color work. The thread has gone crazy, so if you could go check that out if you'd like to participate. We're working on prizes and then just general camaraderie to come together and try our hands at some of that gorgeous color work that Mary Jane so beautifully represented in her talk and in her swatches that she shared. So head on over to the group and check that out if you'd like to participate. I've been thinking a lot about Fair Isle and color work and all sorts of things. Having seen Mary Jane, and I think my contribution to that group is going to be knitting my husband the Fall River vest by Mary Jane Mucklestone, doing it all out of the natural colors of Shetland. So I look forward to putting that together and doing my order for that. I had a few other things arrive in the mail. I had Cornish Tin 2 arrive from the Woolly Thistle, and I got it in the Wheel Kitty Orange and the Levant Gray. I'm hoping to participate in Claire, New Hampshire's Knits does a color work knit along. I'm thinking about doing a pair of mittens out of this. So that came, and then, I got 3 skeins of the St. Kilda in the Stackley colorway, which is this beautiful charcoal kind of gray, worsted spun, limited edition. I have the lighter gray color already in my stash, and excuse me, I found this through Blacker. It was the first thing I wanted when I went on the Blacker site, and that's because of its representation of critical breeds and primitive breeds. So you've got soy and Boré and Shetland in this blend. And I just knew I had to have it. So I am trying to decide, well, when I realized that they were going to come out with the darker color, I immediately, I think I saw it on Instagram, and I immediately messaged Claire of New Hampshire Knits, and I was like, are you going to get this in? And wow, lo and behold, she was able to pull it off, and I'm so excited that the Woolly Thistle is able to bring some of these yarns to us stateside. And did you just see that Claire lowered the price of Tamar at her shop? So I have some plans for that too. Anyway, so I can't decide if I'm going to do a shawl with both colors in it, or if I'm going to do the charcoal and then the light gray. So I'm still thinking about it. I had planned to do the Mahi shawl by Karina Westerman. in the light gray, and I still may move forward with that. And then there is an Orcadian designer named Elizabeth Loveck, and she has a design out for this yarn, and I'm thinking about knitting that just because of the connections to Orkney and primitive breeds and Orkney, and that's kind of where I all got started, and so very meaningful knit for me. But we'll see what happens with St. Kilda. Right. Fleece-wise, I'm going to do a separate vlog on Fleece-wise because I'm not 100% sure if Claire and Emily and Sarah want to know what I'm doing with my fleece. So that will say Fleece-wise vlog 1. And that will be introducing the fleece that I bought, some plans for it, etc. So you can take a look for that little vlog post coming up. So the Shackleton along, it's kind of an important day for us in Shackleton. It's October 27th. This is the day that Shackleton ordered the men to abandon the Endurance and set up camp on the ice floe. I thought I would share with you a little bit of Shackleton's words and a little bit of the history that happened here and tell you a little bit about an honoring of the Endurance giveaway that we are coordinating. And I say we because Janie, Estelle, and I have been talking a little bit about this. And so let's get a little bit of our history and then we'll talk a little bit about the giveaway. Let's see. Sunday, October 23rd marked the beginning of the end. The position was 69 degrees. Blah. So, then came Wednesday, October 27th. Shackleton wrote, the temperature was -8 degrees Fahrenheit. A gentle southerly breeze was blowing, and the sun shone in a clear sky. After long months of ceaseless anxiety and strain, after times when hope beat high and times when the outlook was black indeed, we have been compelled to abandon the ship, which is crushed beyond all hope of ever being righted. We are alive and well, and we have stores and equipment for the task that lie before us. The task is to reach land with all the members of the expedition. It is hard to write what I feel. End quote. She had drifted for at least 1,186 miles and were 346 miles from Paulet Island, the nearest point where there was any possibility of finding food and shelter. A small hut was built there by Otto Norskenssold's Swedish expedition in 1902 and was filled with stores left by an Argentine relief ship. Shackleton knew of these stores because he was the person who purchased the stores in London on behalf of the Argentinian government. Shackleton ordered the boats, gear, provisions, and sledges lowered to the floe. The Endurance had been locked in the ice for 281 days. The 28 men pitched 5 tents 100 yards from the ship, but were forced to move when a pressure ridge started to split the ice beneath them. Ocean Camp was established on a thick, heavy floe about 1.5 miles from the wreck. On November 21st, 1915, the Endurance raised its stern and slipped beneath the ice, coming to rest at the bottom of the Weddell Sea. So, big news, big deal. We want to honor the Endurance, and I have 2 giveaways for that. It's kind of a morale boost, but it's more, to honor the boat. And I will be giving away Sarah of Yarns at Yunhu, her pattern letterpress, which is this gorgeous pattern that kind of allows you to play a little bit with mini skeins and gradient kits, etc. I'm planning to do mine out of some Soulful Stash scraps. But it's beginning with a cable neckline, the cowl cascades and gentle swirls around your neck and shoulders. The pattern includes a bit of shaping, a bit of texture, and many opportunities for color play. Create a dramatic addition to your wardrobe with a mini skein set or yarn left over from your favorite projects. Style your letterpress with the drape in front or wear it over one shoulder for asymmetric flair. So thank you so much, Sarah of Yarns at Yunhu, Sarah Pomegranate on Ravelry. You can find this on Ravelry if you can't wait to the next podcast. But thank you so much for allowing us to give this away on the podcast, and especially to do it as part of the Shackleton Along and the Endurance. Janie Estelle of Starcroft will also be contributing. That prize will most likely be something from Nash Island, but stay tuned. And hopefully I will podcast before November 21st, so we'll get a little bit more detail. But I just wanted to throw out there that within the podcast, we would be honoring the sinking of the Endurance. Right. I think I've covered everything I'm going to cover. Holy smokes. And I think I'm going to say goodbye, right? So wherever your treks may take you, your fiber treks may take you, wherever your fiber treks may take you, may you always return home safe with lots of fiber. I'll see you next time. Bye.